Hello YouTube, I'm El Worfy, and I'm checking out like a new kind of way that I want to talk about this game. What you're currently watching right now is gameplay of me playing Killing Floor 2. Now, if you're wondering why there's no sound, that's on purpose because when I was actually making the original recording, where I was talking and commentating like usual, well, let's just say that it wasn't the best and there was not very good game sync when I started. So I mainly wanted to make this video to kind of go over this new game that I got because I think it's really, really great. And I wanted to share it with everyone because this is a very viewed, underrated game. Not like in its like quality or anything, but in terms of like the amount of attention it got at release. When the game was released, I believe it was sometime back in like April or May of this year, 2015. But Total Biscuit did do a thing on it, and like all the big guys did their stuff. But after that, the game kind of didn't really get much attention. So I figured I would make my own video, play it myself, because I did just get it recently, and I enjoyed it very much. So the footage you're watching of right now is gameplay of me using the support class on a cool map called Evacuation. It's kind of a smaller map compared to the other really big Killing Floor maps, which the maps have grown a lot in size, honestly, compared to the original game, which you will notice I also do have Killing Floor 1 gameplay on my channel, though it is a bit old, so don't completely just disregard it, because it is still decent quality gameplay, and I'm very proud of the original game's accomplishments. But that's not to say that this game hasn't done much. Oh, no. Now, if you've watched any of my Battlefield gameplays, you'll know that the graphics are very smooth and it's very clean. And, I did a lot in the Battlefield era of gameplay. And then I didn't really notice this game originally. But when it came to my attention, oh, and sorry for the frame rate drops. It was a bit laggy with the Fraps recording because I was trying to record originally. Can't really fix that now, can I? But yeah, this is a very high-end game. It runs pretty much as smooth as Battlefield 4 without when you don't have recording software going in the background. Because when that's going in the background, obviously the game's going to be a little more fuzzy because my computer is only from 2009. So what you can see right here is in this game, the new one, now all the classes start out with their own unique weapons. It used to be in the original Killing Floor that when you got to the max level, then you could start spawning in to the first round of the game with a primary weapon. Whereas in the original, if you weren't level 6 in your class, you just start with a pistol and you kind of got to deal with that. Now in this game, you actually get to start out with your primary with about the same amount of ammo. I'm pretty sure that for the support class anyway, because that's what I tend to focus on. In this game, I was level 6, but now, obviously, currently at the time of this recording, I'm a level 10. The point here is that while the game was originally being done with the leveling system, the game was really slow to load up. Like for the support class originally in the old game, it used to take like hours and hours because one of the ways you level up was pretty much do damage with shotguns, which makes sense. But you also had to get like a stupidly ridiculous amount of door welding points, and XP was just taking years to finish. Like I've still never gotten any character to level 6, but I'm already, see look, leveled up to level 7. Boom. So yes, obviously this is pretty recent gameplay because leveling has been streamlined so that way it's much smoother and much faster. And I mean, look at the graphics, how on the when you shoot something up, if we can get to Z time, I'm pretty sure. Here. So you see how all the graphics got much more amped, and you can see little splatters of blood. Just little details that really push this game over the edge, which is one thing that I really appreciated about it. The ammo boxes have been changed. They're much bigger, so they're much easier to spot. Every single gun operates like its real-life counterpart as closely as the game developers were able to do so, because the thing that made Killing Floor such a great game is that their guns and their animations were just solid. You know, you felt like you were walking around with a really big gun. Sorry again for the little lag spike. But the main issue with the original game that I had was that the difficulty spike was kind of broken. Originally, in the old game, when you went to anything harder than hard, because it used to be beginner, normal, hard, suicidal, and hell on earth. There's 5 levels. And anything like past hard, so suicidal and hell on earth, were really kind of broken towards the enemy. And I get that they're supposed to be impossible levels, but the way that the enemies were made harder is they just made the enemy health higher for everything. Like, instead of my single shot pistol kills to take down a clot, now it took like maybe 3 or 4 bullets, which, I mean, is a pretty big difference in a game that's also very dynamically based on the conservation of resources. So, I mean, because you only get so many bullets, and because you are limited, as you can see at the top of the screen right there, in how much weight that can be carried, then that immediately makes it so much more important to make sure every shot counts, and aiming is critical. Like, even with these shotguns, like, it's important to make sure that you can aim and that you're on par with what you're trying to accomplish, because if you miss, you know, especially with a pump action shotgun, you're not really going to want to be like not aiming. Whereas in the original Killing Floor, you could kind of get away with not aiming more frequently, to the point where, like, honestly, I didn't really aim down sights too often in the original game in my off time of playing, because I just didn't really see the point, because the bullet spread was so ridiculously stupid and each pellet did ridiculous amounts of damage that it just didn't make much sense. But in this game now, they've made it so that way damage is better, and, like, I mean, because this basic shotgun, this thing can last you to the end game. That's how well they've balanced this game in Killing Floor 2. Now, the original Killing Floor, you had to make sure that you were upgrading with the waves. And what does that mean? That means that as the waves went on and on, the enemies got difficulter and more difficult. And, you know, that's what you want to see out of a game, you know, level progression, you know, skill increase needed. But at a certain point, because of maybe it's just the repetitive nature of Killing Floor, which isn't a bad thing, just to be clear. That's not a bad thing. But due to the repetitive nature of it, you kind of had like a couple of go-to strategies that, you know, just worked. And if you deviated off of that, you pretty much were asking to die, because there wasn't much of a reason to go outside of your class. Like, for example, with the shotguns in the support in the original, you know, because things were more expensive in the original Killing Floor, if you went outside of whatever your perk was. So that meant that the weapon dynamics, you're a little more stuck. You know, if I feel like I want to use shotguns, then I'll pick support. I'll use shotguns. But if I then, in the middle of the game, feel like, you know what, I'm kind of feeling like I want to change it up, I want to go to a machine gun, you know. But if you do that, you know, it's going to cost more money, ammo's going to be harder to get, and it's much more difficult, and you may as well, in that point in the game, have been changing out your perks, which also you could only do once per round. Which I do believe they've kept here. I'll admit I haven't had to change perks in-game, because in Killing Floor 2, now what they've done is they haven't increased the pricing of out-of-class weapons, but instead, like, every person can buy a weapon from any class, no matter what perk you're using. But the way the incentive then to stay in perk is that if you, like, are support and you're using shotguns, you get more XP. But this does not mean that you can't get XP for the support class and not use shotgun. For example, as support, if I wanted to, I could pick the support class and I could only use machine guns and maybe blades, like the Berserker does. Now, the Berserker's a bit different because he earns money a bit slower. That's just something I've noticed. I'm not sure if that's just due to me only. I've only tested Berserker out a little bit. I haven't really gone too far down that tree because I'm just not a slash and dice fan. And that's just personal playstyle opinion. So as you can see, like, the buy screen, it was on for just a second because I knew what I was doing in this game. because I've been playing support for a while, and I've been using a go-to strategy just to kind of level up because before I start deviating a bit. So if I get my nope, never mind. I guess I don't. It's been a while since I've seen this gameplay. And what I did just there, where I just kind of looked at the gun, that's not a passive thing or anything. I'm actually hitting the R button and checking reload. That's a nice little feature they have. Like instead, when you press R, sometimes because the game would be a bit buggy every once in a while, you'd want to like check your ammo so you like hit reload on accident. And it used to be before that like I mean it happens, but like nothing would happen, so you just keep hitting R because you weren't sure, because sometimes, like especially in slow motion, if you want to reload, you're going constantly, and sometimes you forget to reload in the game, so that it promotes constant reloads. So because people are hitting it so much, they decide to put in an animation to establish that, hey, the guy's not putting bullets in the gun, it's fully loaded, and the guy just kind of looks at it. And I thought that was a nice little touch that they put in, because it's a visual cue to let players know that they're full on ammo, because not everyone looks down in the bottom right to look at their ammo and grenade amount. And that's a minor thing. That's a minor thing that they did. But it's those minor things, I think, that have made this game something that is tremendously better. I mean, look at that set time. Look at how, like, clean of a headshot this is, because I can I'm aiming down sights, real quick, and attacking. Again, sorry for the lag. Not perfect. Let's see. So, like how all the clots, clots are actually a little bit of a threat. I mean, not really, but Tripwire did try to add more enemy varieties, which I applaud them for. But, you still got all the old ones, The Scrake and the Flesh Pound have kind of been flip-flopped in a way. As I'm playing the game more, I'm noticing that gap is less and less, but it feels like the Scrake and his chainsaw are more powerful now than the Flesh Pound with his claw death things, and frame rate dropped in this part of the game due to connection issues and such. I might have tabbed out to talk to people in Skype. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, so I got locked out. Funny tidbit. So I decided, being locked out and stuff, since this is a competitive game where, kills are how you win. So I just screw it, go down. And that's the cool thing, is that in Killing Floor 2, since there's a sprint button, I can feel much safer about going out there and be able to know that I can run away from everything if things get overwhelming on my own. So it makes it so that way you can have that team dynamic where you're working with players, but if you need to in a tight situation, you can always escape on your own to make sure you personally get the best score. Because as much as people want to say this is a team game, it's really a solo game. You play with friends who are in their solo game, but you all just happen to be in the same room. It's unfortunate, but that's pretty much how I honestly think the game feels. So you need to be able to take this game and play it with the understanding that most of your gameplay will probably be on your own, unless you have a dedicated group of friends, in which case, good job, because that makes the game much better, which I did end up doing, actually. I've played this game, Killing Floor 2, in fact, with friends, and that certainly does help the gameplay experience. And you'll notice also the waves have gone by much faster, because we're already on wave 4 out of 7, and if I take a look at the video, yeah, we're only at 13 minutes. In the old game, it would take much longer, because the guys moved slower. Your guns shot slower. Sorry. And the whole game was just at a slower pace. Now, some people think that this game is slower because of the animation, like how you pull out your knife. Yes, pulling out your knife does make you run faster. It's not very noticeable, but it does. They kept that. But there's a sprint ability now, so you feel like you're really making progress, because the walk animation's pretty slow, but that's kind of the goal they were looking for. Okay, I just want to show that, because specifically, you can pause the video, go back and relook at that. But the way that the buy screen is, they've included armor in the autofill total. So now, instead of paying the $300 for armor and then having to go all the way over to the other side, in a time when the trader was too short. Oh, by the way, the trader time was only a minute, but because of the terrible arrow, like look at that blue arrow, you can see it. No one, I will argue anyone to death over trying to say that the original arrow was better, because this arrow is beautiful. I cannot miss it, and it is a good guide. Sometimes the old arrow, it would do like loops in the same spot to try and make it feel more flowy, but that doesn't matter. No one really cares about how flowy it is. We just want to get to the trader and get it. I mean, sure, it did do the little turn thing, but it tried to turn you even in like the shortest way possible. Now on this map, there are I would honestly say maybe 2 holdout spots that work. This is one of them, and I'd say that the other one is probably where you saw us defending on that inside little thing. So see how quickly a good dedicated team takes them down, and that's another reason why you want to be playing this game with a team. Because I tried playing solo, even on like the easiest difficulty. I almost didn't beat it. Like, it's tough. Especially this new boss, which I want to get to when we get to the boss part of the game. But for now, I want to state that this new boss is a good improvement and a problem compared to the old boss. So the old boss, it was the Patriarch. He was the same guy over and over, chainsaw in one hand and like a big heavy machine gun in the other, or something ridiculous like that. And they Tripwire tried to make him like feel like more unique and fresh by having like their seasons. There's the Christmas version of all the units and stuff. But I feel like this game doesn't need that kind of dynamic. How like when you see a game that it knows what it's trying to do. Because Killing Floor was originally a mod for another game. I'm not sure what it is. My Killing Floor lore is not as expanded as some others. But I do know that the Patriarch was a very repetitive boss in the community because of how the strategy was pretty straightforward. Pretty much what the Patriarch did is he shot with his machine gun, then he would run up and slap you, and then he'd go invisible and run away to go heal. But it wasn't always clear how the healing worked. I'm pretty sure it was just kind of like, for as long as he's not getting hurt, he's healing, something stupid like that. But now this boss is much different. So you'll see, again, like I mentioned before, the aiming down sights to make sure you target it. Bloats all the enemies got harder. Like, the bloats are actually a threat now. It's great. And the Gorefast is also a threat. But unfortunately, they made the crawlers kind of useless. I mean, the crawlers were already kind of dumb. And granted, this gameplay, of course, is not on the hardest difficulty. I wouldn't show you first-time gameplay on my channel of something that looked like the game was ridiculously stupid. But in general, the way that Tripwire has tried to improve the leveling system in terms of the difficulty, now in-instead of changing the health of the enemies, they just made it so that way the enemies were scarier and they did more damage. And in a sense of like, the cloaker guys, the stalkers, that's what they're called, sorry, the stalkers, they were all about, sneaking up on you and trying to get the edge. But every time you put your crosshair over them, even when you weren't the commando, because that's what the commando was supposed to do, is detect the cloaked dudes. But even if it's not the commando, you can see them, and you just kind of shoot them, and you wouldn't really think too much of them, to be honest. There wasn't much of a reason to try and worry about the stalkers. But now they are scary. Like, they are hard to see, and if you're not commando, you really pretty much can't see them, and you got to kind of line up your shots to like aim and make it right. And look at the way they improved the AA-12. I just want to say this is beautiful. Like, I mean, look at that. It looks so much better. And how, like, you can like play with the gun a bit during like the wait time, because they made the wait time much better because the trader location arrow is easier to follow. That means people are getting to the trader faster and they have more time to use the trader, therefore making it feel like you have too much time almost to use the trader, but at the same time, the extra time is good. And again, as usual, just like in the original Killing Floor, the amount of enemies is going to be based on the amount of players, and that will always change. If someone drops out, amount of enemies per round drop. Just very good balancing in this game, even when things can get a little ridiculous. The fire, no, dang, I'm sorry. That guy, you can see him right now on the screen. That flamer guy, I forget. That's me snapping my fingers. I'll figure it out. And when I figure it out, I'll feel stupid. But that guy, the flamer guy, he got a huge buff, by the way. He's now no longer wave 1 enemy, because originally it used to be that like that guy would be in the like first or second rounds because he was pretty easy. Wasn't that a beautiful grenade toss? Can I just say that was a beautiful grenade toss? That was how I felt when I did it. I was like, oh my god, I actually got a cool grenade toss. Got 19 XP. Worth it. Which means I probably killed a couple of clots to do it. I don't know. I just feel like this game has improved significantly much, even though there are still problems, and that's something I do want to talk about. One of the main problems I have is kind of the new dynamic of having 25 levels. Now, I like that you earn levels faster. Like I said, I'm a level 10 at the time of recording this, which I never have been able... Like, I'm still not at level 6 for any of my classes right now. And I've played a lot of Killing Floor. It's like my #1 played game underneath something ridiculous like Civilization, because that just forces hours. You know how it goes. But I don't know. I'm not quite as much of a fan, because it used to be in the original Killing Floor, as you level up, with each level you get some perks, some sort of little bonus. I mean, granted there were less levels, so it made sense that there'd be one for each a new bonus for each level. But at the same time, like having every 5 levels and the way they set it up, once you get to level 20, you're pretty much done. Because have you noticed that there hasn't been that much Z time? Now, granted, it does vary game to game, but the final upgrade is always a Z time. On every single perk, it will be a Z time upgrade. Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with this, but let's think about it. You get 4 maximum. I mean, you have 8 options total. Technically, you have 10, but I don't really count Z time because Z time happens so infrequently in this game compared to the original one. Even though Z time looks better and it feels better and it plays better, it's not as frequent, so I don't notice it as much. That's just something I've noticed while playing the game. But the last one is you're forced to get a Z time upgrade. So you're really only getting about 4, because you only get to pick half, because when you level up every 5. So let me explain. So every 5 levels, you get to upgrade your perk or whatever in some sort of way. Like, for example, when I got to level 5, I was using increased ammunition, so I just held more because I found I was running out of ammo a lot. And having extra ammo really does help, especially for like when you got to pack up that AA-12 and you got to get, those extra shots off to finish them off. That's really important to have. But then, like, the other one, the other perk was also a really good choice. It was tough to choose because my other one was one that allowed me to share ammo with other players. Now, I didn't lose ammo. What happened is, like, someone would come up to me, they'd press a button, and then they'd immediately get an extra clip stored in. So it's like picking up an ammo, and they could do this once per round of the game. And I thought that was really cool. I really supported that idea. But when you have to choose one and you can't use both, it kind of makes it... I mean, I know they don't want to make them overpowered, but why don't you make sure everyone has access to use all of them at once, but over a better period? Because this way, the way they have it set up now, you only get 4 bonuses in a total of 25 levels, excluding Z time, because I don't count Z time because it doesn't happen often enough. If Z time happened more often, then I would see the merit in having a Z time upgrade. And who knows, maybe the Z time upgrade is something that will make the game feel better. Like, maybe you get more Z time or something. I don't know. But in this game, I haven't noticed Z time too much. And granted, while I'm talking, maybe I'm glossing over and missing something. But I bet you if you proportionalize the video out, the Z time, I'd be willing to bet it's under 5 minutes. Just easily. And this is a pretty long game. It's actually pretty quick for Killing Floor standards, because the old game, again, was slower, so games would take maybe an hour or something, and it would just be ridiculous. And in that, you were also forced pretty much to play at 10 rounds. I mean, I'm playing 7 here, because you can do 7, and 7 is plenty of a challenge. Going 10 rounds would just make videos extremely long, and I played 10-round games in this game, and it's pretty, what's the word? It's not boring. I don't want to say that because it's really fun either, no matter what you do. But I've just had some issues with it being 10 if you don't have a good team, because you could just get hammered and it ruins the play experience. You know what I mean? But if you have a good team, then 10 rounds is awesome because you get so much XP, and leveling up is interesting. Like I said, because since you only get 4, and every 5 levels you get a perk, I mean, once you get to level 20, you're pretty much done with that class, which does promote moving on to a new class. When I finish off support, I'll probably switch to Commando and start going hardcore Commando. And I'll probably show you a Commando gameplay when I get around to that point. Or maybe I'll show you another support. I'm not sure yet. But right now I'm doing hardcore support because I just want to see what it's like and get a good analysis that's fair of the game. Because see, look at how easily, I just don't care about the little bug dudes. Now I know in the harder difficulties they do jump, so I'm not really showing you the hardest they could be. But, because, obviously, the Gorefast has become much stronger, because he, runs at you now. And remember how in the original game, you had to hold your knife out to run instead of sprinting? Well, now that there's a sprint function and they added that, now the enemies move faster, which I mentioned a little bit earlier, but I want to point out again because of the fact that the game feels more like it's wanting to compete. Sorry for the frame rate drop. It feels like the game is wanting to compete with something like Left 4 Dead, which, by the way, beautiful way to combat Left 4 Dead. I think Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 were good for their time, but now that games like this exist, I don't think we need games like Left 4 Dead anymore. This is straight up horde mode. There is a story in this game. That is one thing interesting that they did. They actually put in a story for Killing Floor 2. Is it a complex one, like Call of Duty stories? No, but, they put it in, and that's a good effort. For Left 4 Dead, they didn't even really have a story. So that's another way I think that this game really shines, is that, the gameplay feels good, the guns feel good. Look at that. See, that's a time when Z-time is good. When you're getting multiple headshots, I'm pretty sure Z-time can last for up to maybe 10 seconds at a time. And, the screamer seems more terrifying. Everything just feels more like it wants to kill me instead of, a shooting gallery, which is kind of what the original Killing Floor was. It was a shooting gallery, but you got to use really awesome weapons, and that's what's really cool about this game, is that the weapons feel very, very heavy. When I fire the shotgun, I feel like I'm firing a shotgun. I'm not wussing out. They made sure every animation was, nice and smooth and just beautiful. Because, look at how, he turns the gun, as he's trying to make it work out better. Oh, and did I mention the AA-12 is beautiful? Just saying. I think the AA-12 is beautiful. One thing that I do have a problem with this game is that you'll notice if you look down at the bottom bar, you'll notice that something is missing. I find this to be a very big error in the Killing... Oh, I totally effed up here. I still made it just fine, but I noticed there was no blue line. Come on. Figure it out, me. Okay. Take another look at the bottom of your screen. Just tell me what is missing. It's the weight bar. Not in how heavy your character is, because nothing like that, but how much you're allowed to physically carry. In the original game, you could know exactly how much you had, so you would know if you needed to go buy more weapons and such. Because I'm at 15 out of 15. That's great that I can see that in the trader, but I can't see it anywhere else. So for whatever reason, I feel like, I ran out of bullets. Maybe I should drop my weapon and pick up another one. Well, I don't know how much my weapons really weigh anymore, because they kind of took that part out of the game while you're in gameplay and while you're not in the trader. So you kind of have to memorize things. Obviously I'm smart enough. I know that the AA-12 weighs 8 pounds, and the shotgun weighs, math help, I think it's 7. Yeah, something like that. So check out this boss. Frame rate will drop here because the animation is really good, but my computer just, at the time of recording, kind of failed. I'm sorry. This isn't perfect. I will obviously try and make a better video later. Might just reduce quality. I'm playing on like high quality while I was playing this game for the recording. So, you know, that's just kind of what happened. Sorry about my Skype deciding to be ridiculous. Okay, so the boss. Like I said, I wanted to mention with the boss, this is a new guy. He's Dr. Van Tolter. He has cool abilities where you can actually see the health bar now, which I think is really cool. Now, it's not a literal bar, you know, obviously looking at it and the way Killing Floor has been designed as a game as a whole, there's no actual bar on the boss to indicate the health he has. I mean, check out this cool dynamic, how I can like look down at like all the action that's going on. I think that's great, because it used to be the level design was very flat, unless it was something like the hospital one. But the new boss, he can do this thing where he can launch gas, he can steal, he can do life steal, essentially, where he sucks away your health to gain his own health. He has like a cool slashing attack, he has machine guns, he has grenades, and he has an invincible thing. Like, he's a much more difficult boss. You know, like, people can lose to this guy. Whereas the Patriarchy, I mean, you can lose, I guess. I think it'd be very hard to lose a battle against the Patriarch nowadays when bosses like this are created. This is something I think Killing Floor 2 absolutely did right. I think that they nailed this part of the game absolutely brilliantly. And it used to, like, look at how, like, they added a shield so players know when you don't shoot them. And instead it allows whoever gets grabbed for the life steal, it makes you kind of be like, hey, maybe we should go heal this guy. I don't know. Obviously there's different abilities to help you resist it and such, and that makes it all the much more fun. And of course, minions do spawn during the boss waves, and they get a little bit harder. One time I actually had, because I was playing on hard, a siren come after me while I was fighting the boss, and I was like, oh crap, like, you know, that's actually a cool new challenge. I really liked that part of the game. You know, and the boss takes a while to kill, you know. The old Patriarch, sure, I mean, he took a while too, but that's just because he ran away. This boss is aggressive to the end, and that's what I think is great. So, that was my thoughts on the original Killing Floor. I hope you all enjoyed. I'm Elworthy, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh yeah, check it out. We got third person at the end. Why can't we play third person in-game? That'd be epic, right?